Yeah, I'm outside. Deal with it. Welcome to the latest live edition of the Winner Circle, presented by Naira and Naira Bets, the online official betting partner of the Belmont Stakes and Saratoga Racecourse. I'm Bram Weinstein. This is my house you're looking at. It's Dan Torgman at his house, my house, like his house, having work done. I think they sliced my internet cable. I don't have any Wi-Fi right now, so I'm escaping to the driveway to hang out with you today, Dan.
Well, I appreciate it. I also appreciate that you brought the sponsor read with you. I could
Uh-huh.
tell
Yeah.
you're all ready. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a pro, Dan. I'm a pro. All right, let's get this. Give my arm a rest here. Let's show race one that we want to do a recap of. The Wild and Wacky, which should have been a two-horse match race that turned into some kind of bumper car in the Pennsylvania Derby. So check out the stretch run there.
One glory awaits, and it looks like it's going to be Hot Rod Charlie and Midnight Bourbon to decide it. Drifting a touch was Hot Rod Charlie. Midnight Bourbon comes right after this rival. American Revolution making up late ground from third. An eighth to go. Hot Rod Charlie, Midnight Bourbon, American Revolution, a 16th to go. Hot Rod Charlie is opening up. Hot Rod Charlie will win the Pennsylvania Derby and create a grade one victory.
All right, so about time for Hot Rod Charlie. He's been close a number of times this year. Obviously, we'll talk about the sentimental value of that a little bit because Hot Rod Charlie, of course, is fan favorite of Stephen Panis. There was a connection there with the loss of his son. We're going to get to that later because there was some more news on that front as well. So he won. I think they were being a bit generous with drifted out a little bit. Try drifted out a ton. And then the objection and inquiry were up for what felt like 20 minutes, the other day to try to figure this out. So what do you think, Dan? All's fair in love and racing, or was that a little too much?
I don't know. I think you gotta look at the whole picture, right? I mean, Midnight Bourbon had the entire length of the stretch to go by and didn't. He was just not going to get to Hot Rod Charlie, and I know that doesn't excuse a blatant foul. I just didn't think the foul was as blatant. I mean, there's drifting and then there's drifting. And like I think he certainly took the turn a touch wide, but did everything he could to straighten out the top of the stretch.
Oh, you're being generous too, because they were in the 48 pass by the time we're going to say drifted out a little bit. But go on, don't let me stop your argument that nothing bad happened here.
No, look, I don't want to say nothing bad at all happened, but at the end of the day, and I'm also not saying it has to rise to the level of like a horse falling, for example, like Midnight Bourbon did in the Haskell. But when there's contact, and you know it. If there's like a fast and dramatic shifting into a lane of another horse, I think that's one thing. When there's this sort of gradual wide going into the turn, I think there's a lot more gray there, and we saw that's why the Derby DQ a couple of years ago was so controversial because that's essentially what it was. It was a horse coming wide off the turn. But if you saw the impact of that, it was multiple horses being impacted and actual bumping. Since it was just the two of them, and again, to the point I made right at the top, Midnight Bourbon had every shot to go by even after that and didn't even make it close. I think if he loses by like a neck, maybe you have an argument there that
That's true.
Cost him.
I hate the outcome determines the punishment type of thing. It's like it's the hockey fighting thing or high sticking. If there's blood, it's a lot of, it's a big penalty. And if there's no blood, it's not a penalty. It's the same infraction. So I don't know, but I'm with you though. I actually, in watching it 8 trillion times over the weekend and now a couple of times here this morning, I don't think I would have taken him down either. Like in the end, I don't think so. I don't like what happened there. And I don't know to what degree tactically they just decided push him out as far as possible before we have to make the turn and save ourselves, like mattered in the moment. But I'm with you. I don't feel like this rose to the level of take him down. Like I didn't feel that way in watching it then. It clearly didn't it did not involve any other horse in the race whatsoever because none of them were even close to the front. So that matters here for me too. So I'm going to go with, okay, you got away with one. That's the way. That's kind of the way I look at this now.
Yeah, I don't know that any of it was tactical at all, to be honest. I mean, yeah, maybe there's a little race riding there going a touch wide, but I think the horse is still green as grass, man. Like you just watch the way he was running late. I mean, he's lugging in. He's just a wacky horse. I mean, he's just a little weird. I mean, like he hasn't fully figured it all out yet somehow. But he's got just all this raw talent, and just sometimes he just, has trouble harnessing it. And so I think that's what we saw there. But nonetheless, for this horse, really impressive addition to his resume. You heard the call there, finally getting that first grade one. This is a horse who not only finished second this year in multiple races and finished third in the Kentucky Derby, and then won the Haskell but was disqualified. Remember, even go back to last year, he was second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So this is a horse who's been knocking on the door, finally gets the big win, and it's nice to see for multiple reasons, including the fact that the owners have really done a great job of kind of marketing the horse and then doing good with the money that he's earned, including contributing to a number of foundations and racing in particular in the memory of Jake Panis.
Yeah. And I apologize in advance too. That's my thumb. So when I do that, you're getting a close-up look at my thumb, and I'm trying not to get it in the picture. I'm doing the trade-off arms every 2 minutes. This is quite the workout that I'm giving myself this morning. All right, let's get to same track, way different result. The Turf Monster. All right, check out the stretch run of this one and check out the winner here.
The lane, Admiral Abe and Fire Crow, they've been at it. Admiral Abe kicks for home. Fire Crow's got a battle on back. Caraval with late ground to make up in Hollywood Talent. Admiral Abe for a final eighth of a mile. Here comes Hollywood Talent. Fire Crow's not done to the inside. 16th to go. Hollywood Talent is coming after Admiral Abe. Hollywood Talent wins the Turf Monster.
All right. He buried the lead. 108 to 1. What? 108 to 1. Do you realize, as you know, one of my dreams, not only because I get to call, NFL games, my other dream will be to call races. I will be out of my skin if some 108 to 1 horse wins like that one did. So, not that I'm like being overly nitpicky, but I am a little bit. Show a little energy. That's ridiculous. That almost never happens.
Yeah, it's probably a dead giveaway that the announcer doesn't gamble too much.
Right.
was not aware of the board because he didn't bet on the race. Yeah, I mean, it was sort of a sort of confluence of a number of variables there, including the fact that my horse Caravel, who JD, as we know, has faded before, fade her again because, again, she disappointed at a really short price with no excuse. There was also Karatari, who also took a lot of money and was, at the end of the day, compromised a little bit by the trip. And so this horse, Hollywood Talent, by the way, the other lead, the horse is 10 years old. So this is not a horse who's like, hitting its prime and, it's just everything, building up to this. The horse hadn't won a race in 7 races. That was a claiming race. And then only had 2 wins since early 2018. The only giveaway really was that the only time the horse had run in Graded Stakes Company, the horse had run well. And so, I don't know. Look, crazy result. Combination of like 2 favorites just completely running up the track. And also the pace being super hot up front. And I also want to give a shout out to Ricardo Santana Jr. Doesn't get enough credit for the way he can ride turf races. I think back to Fire at Will, 30 to 1, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Most people think of him as a dirt rider because he's been riding all of, Asmussen's great dirt horses. But Ricardo Santana, man, just, big prices. It seems like he does this more than he gets credit for. So shout out to him for just a spotless ride and keeping the horse, out of harm's way and in position to just trip out at this massive price. Ridiculous result.
I think my favorite part of horse racing always is when that happens, which is rare, the 100 plus to 1 horse. We all then go back and look for the spot where we're like, I should have known. Here's where it would have happened 6 months ago on the turn. He made a move in a 6 furlong race, and that's what would have told me that today was the day. So we missed out on that one. All right. From that crazy result to one that wasn't at all. Dan wants to spotlight Jackie's Warrior because Jackie's Warrior is just killing it these days. So check out the latest race from Jackie's Warrior.
Warrior is in hand. It's got a 3-length cushion. Pick and Time is making up late ground with Barron as they dive down to the inside, but they are trying to catch the champ. It's Jackie's Warrior at the top of the stretch. Jackie's Warrior hasn't even been asked yet, is approaching the 8th pole. Pick and Time, Real Talk. Jackie's Warrior has a 5-length cushion. Pick and Time has taken second, but an absolute superstar, geared down, wins the Gallant Bob with ease. It's Jackie's Warrior.
So this is one of those where when the jockey is literally standing up and looking through his legs over and over and not asking the horse to do anything, you've got a monster on your hands. And that's exactly what happened over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, look, this horse didn't have much to beat there. There aren't many horses who want to face Jackie's Warrior at this point. Wins by nearly 7 lengths, geared down. And what I thought was most impressive was that he showed little to no ill effects coming out of that massive effort in the H. Allen Jerkins, where you remember he got up and then held off Life is Good, who, by the way, came back this past weekend and like rolled in the Kelso. So
yeah.
Just ridiculous effort by this horse. You now got, the Gallant Bob win. You've got the Amsterdam. You got the H. Allen Jerkins. You got the Pat Day Mile this year from this horse. Was second in the Woody Stevens only because he didn't break well and had to be rushed up. Jackie's Warrior should seriously be in the conversation. Maybe we'll not have enough time to sort of develop the resume this year that'll match a horse like Essential Quality in terms of talking about the top 3-year-olds or potentially the best horse in the country. But this is a horse who you could argue at this moment is the best dirt horse in America at the very least, and probably in the world.
All right, very cool. All right, I want to get to what happened over the weekend next, which is Arlington Park closed, which we knew was coming, but still. But first, bet your favorite tracks online with Naira Bets, available nationwide in 30 states. Naira Bets offers best-in-class HD live video and replays, online contests to compete with other Naira Bets players, exclusive promotions that give back more, and expert picks and analysis with an easy-to-use, free-to-download app. Betting horse racing online has never been easier and safer. So sign up for Naira Bets now to earn a $200 sign-up bonus with promo code ABR200. And welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I'm Bram Weinstein with Dan Torgman. We're presented by Naira and Naira Bets. All right, closing day for Arlington Park did occur. Should we show a classic race first, or do you want to lament the loss of a great track, a beautiful track, by the way, architecturally gorgeous venue, and unfortunately progress has meant that horse racing in Greater Chicago is closed for now. Sad.
Yeah, we could reflect on it for a moment. The track opened in 1927. You're talking 94 years. It's obviously up for sale now, and the expectation is that it'll be sold to an investor or a buyer who will utilize it for other purposes, exclusively not for horse racing, and in particular, racing will be done there. As you mentioned, obviously, I think one of the most beautiful tracks in the country, Gem. There in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I have friends in Chicago who, whenever I talk to them, or whenever I've gone to visit them, I've either gone with them, I brought them, or when I speak with them, I ask them, "Hey, have you been back to Arlington?" This and that. Like, no, we got to go back. It's so beautiful. It's man, never forget that day when you took us and we went. It was such a great time, and you couldn't go to Arlington without leaving with that kind of experience. So. It's just extremely sad. I mean, yes, because we're losing this gem, we're losing this beautiful track. But again, you think about all the people who work there, from the mutual clerks who've been there for decades and who have relationships and friendships with the fans and the bettors who come there to see them, and then obviously the horsemen and women who are there working and who will now have to largely. For the winter, obviously, they'll be relocating to Hawthorne, and then next year again they'll come back, for Hawthorne. There's not much you can say other than it's a really disappointing and sad thing, and you just wish everyone there the best. I would imagine this obviously will force some people out in the industry in Chicago entirely. And again, that's just part of the tragedy that the rest of it will be just kind of the what seems to be the needless loss of this track, because there are, by several media accounts and reports, there are investors out there who would be interested in it for racing purposes. So just sad and frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's the second or third biggest market in the country. That's sad. It feels odd that this would happen. And all along, I mean, I get it. This is much more complicated than trying to make it simplistically that there's a lot of people that live in Chicago. There is this part of me that feels like, there wasn't enough big days in and around that venue to try to market to people to come out to be part of it. And that's on the sport. And I mean, I think like you and I have talked about this a lot in the past, that like sometimes they don't modernize, sometimes they don't put their best foot forward with marketing the sport particularly well. And, this is a disappointing result. I mean, it's one thing when a smaller track in a small market falls on hard times, especially in a pandemic, and like all of a sudden they're having trouble getting people to come out and all that type of stuff. The fact that a track is closing in greater Chicago, with the history that it has, it's just disappointing. But we want to say goodbye the right way to Arlington Park. And so we decided to pick a classic moment from the Arlington Million. So this was back, 2015, I believe? 2015?
Yep.
2015. Here's the Arlington Million.
Shining Copper, they turn for home. Shining Copper with 3/16 to go. Shining Copper leads by a length. Shining Copper here's up with the birds coming up the fence. The Pizza Man finishing now. Big Blue Kitten charging on the outside. The Pizza Man has taken the lead. The Pizza Man on the outside. Big Blue Kitten. Chicago's about to erupt. The Illinois bred. The Pizza Man just won the Arlington Million under Florent Giroux.
It's just a spectacular call right there. John Dooley, that's another thing. I mean, that voice, John Dooley's voice, over Arlington for years. I mean, I remember going, just to the OTB with my dad and always hearing John Dooley's voice, and that call in particular. The Pizza Man, everybody loved the Pizza Man, Illinois bred, fan favorite, and it's right up there as one of the greatest races in Arlington history, and certainly in recent history, one of the most memorable, because he was such a lovable horse and a horse you could root for. Earned over $2 million, and that, of course, I think the biggest win of all, and just a spectacular call by John Dooley there.
Yeah, cheers. If I had some deep dish, I would cheers you with deep dish pizza right now. First, as we say goodbye to Arlington Park. All right. We have a sentimental moment we need to get to here in a moment. But first, check this out.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
All right, welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I'm Bram Weinstein with Dan Torchman. We're presented by Naira and Naira Bets. This is a good look at my backyard. There's my electric vehicle, Dan, if you wanted to see. That's what I drive. I got kicked out of my house because the internet's not working in there. We're getting work done. Dan's living that life too. It's horrible, but whatever. All for the end game of a better living environment, I suppose, right? So that's where we are. In the meantime, over the weekend, I was surprised to see this because Stephen Panis, our colleague, boss, at America's Best Racing, I was unaware that he was doing this, and I was actually somewhat surprised he didn't tell me because I would have looked out for it. But I saw a clip on Twitter because from the SEC network college game day show that they produce through ESPN, Marty Smith, who's one of my favorite reporters at ESPN and I know pretty well, did a story about Steven's son Jake, who tragically died last year in a DUI accident. He was with some of his friends in the car. He passed away, unfortunately. Steven, as we've talked here on this show a lot, has really done a lot to try to preserve the legacy of his son, as you see in the shirt he's wearing. Steven, of course, went to South Carolina, was a big fan of the Gamecocks, and his son wanted to go and play for the Gamecocks. So Steven has created a scholarship fund for a walk-on player at South Carolina, and Marty Smith and the SEC Network did a profile of it. And you can see Stephen there speaking to the Gamecocks team this year. And then he had the opportunity to go on the air as well with Marty Smith for a little bit and talk about what he's putting together. And, for us, because we're close to it, it's very tough to watch. But I just want to say in general, in tragedy, Stephen Panis has gone above and beyond to preserve the legacy of his son, the things that he has accomplished, throughout his contacts in the industry and his ability to get South Carolina and their new head coach to be on board with this, to want to be part of something like this. I think it was, fitting that Hot Rod Charlie won the other day, because Hot Rod Charlie that ownership group was working on behalf of, preserving Jake's legacy as well. They were going to donate winnings towards his foundation. So it was a tough weekend, but honestly, for me, it put a smile. I mean, as sad as it is, it put a smile on my face just to see what he's doing for his son. You couldn't ask more from a devoted father than what Stephen has done for his kid.
Yeah, I actually had this thought as I was watching some of the stuff during the week, because Stephen he mentioned to me that he was going to be, presenting the scholarship. And when I saw the clip initially of him speaking to the team and then presenting that scholarship to Matthew Bailey, I had this thought, and it's kind of a weird thought, but I just thought, I always thought I had the greatest dad in the world, and I wouldn't trade my dad for anyone, but I don't know a dad who's greater than Stephen. I just, when I think about what it had to take to stand up in front of that group and to speak about Jake, and then, kind of pivot to, and now, here's the good that comes out of this. It's strength that I don't know. I don't anticipate most of us will ever know. And he does it with just, while he's obviously still very much in the throes of everything, right? He's still processing everything. And, I should point out, that Jake was a passenger in that car, right? So, and Stephen, even talking to the team, said, he always says, in a senseless DUI accident, this did not have to happen at all. But here we are, 13 months later, almost 14 months later now. And to think what Stephen has done in that amount of time, to get, develop, relationships and build awareness around this, is just incredible. And from what I've heard and everything I've understood from Stephen, Coach Beamer and South Carolina, Ray Tanner, the AD there, they have really, I don't know who made the initial outreach, but they have pushed this along, largely on their own and out of their own will. It's not like it's been Stephen having to be like, hey guys, can we do this? It's been them. So that's just an incredible thing to think about. And with all the different things going on during a college football season, in particular in the SEC, that they have made this a top priority. Just massive shout out to the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, and Marty Smith, to profile it, I thought it was great. Marty's really one of the great guys. I had the pleasure and privilege of working with him for a number of years at ESPN, and he's just genuinely one of the best people you're going to meet in the industry. Outstanding, obviously, performer on television too. So I just wanted to say thank you to him too for profiling this. They didn't have to do that, and they did. And I think it's a testament to Stephen's standing in the community, in our world, in sports and PR, and this stuff can cross over into other places. And, you're not in your lane, and we're a very small bubble, but often a very close insular bubble. And so it was nice to see that they got involved with that too. And I also, like you, want to, echo your sentiment about the University of South Carolina for doing this. I mean, it's really amazing that they've kind of leaned into this on behalf of Jake Panis as well. All right. I wish we could end on a happier note, but we can't. I mean, there's birds chirping outside, so it's not, doing all right.
All right.
Here. Next week, I'm going to try my best to actually be in my house, do this again. We'll see what happens. But if not, then this wasn't so bad. I got a good arm workout today. My triceps are feeling good. My deltoids are feeling good, Dan. I don't typically work out that much. Feel good about myself today, Dan.
Well, I've got a happy note for you. The
Yeah.
Washington football team might be 1-2,
Whew.
but you guys are better than the Jets and Giants.
We are. Well, we beat the Giants, so we beat them. But man, oh man, we had a rough one yesterday. I will tell you that is not just because of how they won, but that looks every bit a Super Bowl team. So Buffalo, boy, do they look good. They look really strong. Rams, Rams. I don't know. I'm not gonna throw out Brady out yet. I'll bet he'll be back when January rolls around. But Buffalo right now, boy, oh boy, they look good. They look really, really good. All right. That'll do it for us. For Dan, I'm Bram. This has been the Winter Circle presented by Naira and Naira Bets and presented by America's Day at the Races, the official live broadcast partner of Aqueduct Racetrack, Belmont Park, Saratoga Racecourse, and tracks nationwide. For Dan, I'm Bram. We'll see you next week.